श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वशास्त्राब्धि पीयूष सर्वैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नागिक सर्वलोकैक प्रदा सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिध्वांतो दितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेवया श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तमे। मदेक बंधो मत्संगी मद्गुरो मन्महाधन मन्निस्तारक मद्भाग्य मद आनंद नमस्तुते। असाधु साधुतादाय नदनीचोच्चताकर हानमुंच कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णा हृत्कण्ठयो स्फुरा। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 3.25.13 purport. In the material world, everyone is trying to get some material happiness, but as soon as we get some material happiness, there is also material distress. In the material world, one cannot have unadulterated happiness. Any kind of happiness one has is contaminated by distress also. For example, if you want to drink milk, then we have to bother to maintain a cow and keep her fit to supply milk. Drinking milk is very nice. It is also pleasure. But for the sake of drinking milk, one has to accept so much trouble. The yoga system, as here stated by the Lord, is meant to end all material happiness and material distress. The best yoga as taught in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna is Bhakti Yoga. It is also mentioned in the Gita that one should try to be tolerant and not be disturbed by material happiness or distress. Of course, one may say that he is not disturbed by material happiness, but he does not know that just after one enjoys so-called material happiness, material distress will follow. This is the law of the material world. Lord Kapila states that the yoga system is a science of the spirit. Okay, why is it the law of the material world? Because material happiness that comes beyond one's control is actually the result of one's previous punya. Material unhappiness that comes, that is also that kind of material happiness which comes that is beyond one's control is due to one's previous papa. And when we are averse to Krishna, you cannot maintain only a life of punya. So you will inevitably engage in some papa, something or other. The Yamadutas also mentioned this in the 6th canto. Therefore, the unhappiness that comes as a natural consequence of the unhappiness that is a natural consequence of papa will also follow. That is one reason. But he's here again. Then that is one reason for distress. Another reason for distress is there are natural disturbances. Birth, old age, disease, death, the threefold miseries, Adhidaivika miseries. These are all natural, unavoidable. Then there is the force of time, destructive force of time. So because of Prakriti, Kala, Karma, all these things are unavoidable. This point is also brought out by some Vaishnava commentators on Ishopanishads, that material happiness is either mixed with material unhappiness or it is followed by material unhappiness. Lord Kapila states that the yoga system is a science of the spirit. One practices yoga in order to attain perfection on the spiritual platform. There is no question of material happiness or distress. There is no question of material happiness or material unhappiness in yoga. What is one thing? Sorry. I need to do something, but I was late. There is no question of material happiness or distress in yoga. It is transcendental. Lord Kapila will eventually explain how it is transcendental, but the preliminary introduction is given here. 14. Tam imam te pravakshami yamma vocham puranaghe rishinam shrotugamanam yogam sarvanga naipunam. O most pious mother, I shall now explain unto you the ancient yoga system which I explained formerly to the great sages. It is serviceable and practical in every way. Naipunam, Rishinam, Rishin, Narada Adin. The Lord had previously explained this ancient yoga system to sages headed by Narada Muni. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has the reading Uru Anga Naipunam. Here we have Sarvanga Naipunam, but he has the reading Uru Anga Naipunam. Yoga Goswami says Yogam Urvanga Naipunam iti Pataha Sambandhokti Samata. This is read by Sambandhokti. Sambandhokti was a Mayavadi commentary. Sarvanga iti tu Swami Likhitam. But in the edition that accompanies Sridhar Swami writes Sarvanga instead of Urvanga. Uruni Angani Naipunyani Tat Anusthana Chaturyani Chayatra Tat. Meaning that this yoga system has several elements which are to be executed with intelligence. Where is this? This is what? 14, 12, 13, 14. Okay. Question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, the three miseries which we read, like Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika. So Adhyatmika and Adi Bhautika, so they are due to karma. And the third one, the Adi Daivika miseries, and the miseries called like birth, old age, that they are due to time. Can we say like that? First two kind of miseries are due to karma and others not.
Strictly speaking, the Kleshatraya, the three types of Kleshas, Adhyatmika, Adhidaivika, Adhyatmika, Adhibhautika, Adhidaivika, all three are related to karma. According to one's karma, according to the force of my previous karmic reactions, I'll be placed in a position where there will be natural disasters and so on. Nothing happens by chance. No one gets what he does not deserve. Whether it is material happiness or material unhappiness, no one gets what he doesn't deserve. So that is due to karma. But there are special additional causes for distress due to kala. There is also this additional inconvenience, additional set of inconveniences due to prakriti. Prakriti is filled with the three modes, which go on changing. That means that the three modes, the effects of the three modes are constantly exhibited before each conditioned soul. And if the conditioned soul accepts the attractions and repulsions pertaining to them, then he will have to experience the reactions for each of the modes. So sometimes he's peaceful, Satoguna. Sometimes he's in distress, Rajoguna. And he's in delusion, Tamoguna. Just simply shuttling through them itself is a sort of misery.
Yes, true. But about death, like sometimes it's said that someone dies untimely or some murder happens.
Untimely death is caused due to, it might be due to karma, but it might not be due to karma. It might be due to others. Adi Bhautika Klesha.
But you said Adi Bhautika Klesha is also.
But I think it comes under karma.
Overall, yes. Overall, yes, because see, we just do a simple calculation. In every lifetime, if we are accumulating karmic reactions for 10 lifetimes, so in the first lifetime, this is purely theoretical calculation. One lifetime 10, next lifetime another 10. So in 10 lifetimes, it will be 100 reactions to 100 lifetimes. And according to each reaction, I'm simply reacting further. So that is why it is said that prarabdha karma is unlimited. So it looks like from somewhere there it's going to come. It's going to hit. That doesn't mean that the person causing A causes untimely death for B. That doesn't mean that there is no system of justice. The Western criticism for karma, the explanation of karma is that what is this? This means you cannot dispense any justice, because if everything is determined due to your own karmic reactions, you cannot say this person is wrong, he should be punished. No, he should be punished because he unnecessarily interfered with my karma. Who asked him to be the instrument for my karma? So there is justice in the aihika sense, not just in the paratrika sense also. Why this person had to do something by which I will get the karmic reaction for an untimely death? For instance, somebody might come and murder, untimely death. Then he is punished. According to Dharma Shastras, he is meant to be punished. Actually, he is meant to be killed. Then what is that? That is considering the fact that why he unnecessarily became the instrument for that particular karmic, for delivering that particular karmic reaction. And just because we are all going to suffer various shades of karmic reactions, negative karmic reactions, doesn't mean that anybody can do anything.
It once asked to Prabhupada that if you say that everything depends on karma, and then you say that one should not kill cow, so the cow must have done something in its previous life. Therefore, it is killed. Prabhupada told, but why you want to become the instrument of killing the cow? Even if cow might have done something or not done something. So you have choice not to kill the cow.
Because then I will get implicated now. Get that quote.
Prabhu, that the prarabdha karma was saying it is unlimited. Then how that unlimited karma can be cut?
Krishna has to remove it. When we execute Uttama Bhakti, then it goes away.
And where it is mentioned that the 10 lifetimes karma it's carried on.
The Madhvacharya quotes from Brahma Purana. He quotes it here and there. 2-3 times he quotes it in his writings. The Lord does not manufacture a new system of yoga. Sometimes it is claimed that someone has become an incarnation of God and is expounding a new theological aspect of the absolute truth. But here we find that although Kapila Muni is the Lord himself and is capable of manufacturing a new doctrine for this mother, he nevertheless says, I shall just explain the ancient system which I once explained to the great sages because they were also anxious to hear about it. When we have a super excellent process already present in the Vedic scriptures, there's no need to concoct a new system to mislead the innocent public. At present, it has become a fashion to reject the standard system and present something bogus in the name of a newly invented process of yoga. And therefore, in India, followers of the Vedas, every time they present something that appears to be different from what people are hearing, they struggle very hard to prove that it was ancient. They try their best to say that no, this was always there. This was always there. Look at this evidence. Look at this Purana. Look at this Dharma Shastra. Look at this. They try to prove that. 15. Cheta khalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam va pumsi muktaye. The stage in which the consciousness of the living entity is attracted by the 3 modes of material nature is called conditional life. But when that same consciousness is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is situated in the consciousness of liberation. Jivatmanam khalu manaha eva dussanga susangabhyam badhnati mochayati cha ityaha. It is the mind itself which either binds or liberates the Jivatma through bad association or good association. This is pointed out in the current verse. Guneshu swabandhana sadhakatameshu saktam asaktam iti bandhane nyaya uktaha. So when the mind is attached to that which is best for bondage, then he is bound. Pumse purushottama nirguna gunabandhan dhvamsake ratam ratimat iti mochane cha nyaya. And then when the mind is attached to Purushottama, Lord Purushottama, the Supreme Lord, who is beyond the modes of material nature and who can destroy the bondage to the modes of material nature, then the mind is capable of bringing about liberation. Va shabdaha tu shabdartha. Here the word va means tu. Atra Shri Purushottama Vishayinya Rateh Karanam Bhaktireva Bhavet. The cause for attachment to Sri Purushottama can only be bhakti, not jnanam. It cannot be the process of jnana. Napi yogaha. It cannot be the process of yoga also. Mochakatvena kevala bhaktireva samuchita gyeya. Should be understood that only kevala bhakti is to be considered appropriate for liberating the soul. Every other process is going to lead you to kevala bhakti, after which one will be liberated. There is a distinction here between Krishna consciousness and Maya consciousness. Guneshu or Maya consciousness involves attachment to the three material modes of nature under which one works, sometimes in goodness and knowledge, sometimes in passion, and sometimes in ignorance. These different qualitative activities with a central attachment for material enjoyment are the cause of one's conditional life. When the same chetas or consciousness is transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, or when one becomes Krishna conscious, he is on the path of liberation. 16. Aham mama abhimanothai kamalobhadibhirmalai vitam yada manashuddham madhukam masukham samam. When one is completely cleansed of the impurities of lust and greed produced from the false identification of the body as I and bodily possessions as mine, one's mind becomes purified. In that pure state, he transcends the stage of so-called material happiness and distress. Jnana yogayorapi mochakatvam bhakti sahayena eva aha aham iti tribhi. Then in 3 verses, he points out that jnana and yogas being causes for liberation is only with the assistance of bhakti. So actually in the presentation of bhakti, yoga, jnana, and even karma, Lord Vishnu is meant to be kept predominant in one's consciousness. That is the version presented in Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is the original version of the Vedas themselves. So when we talk about bhakti, we are talking of Vishnu bhakti. We are talking of yoga, we are talking of Vishnu yoga. Jnana, Vishnu jnana. Karma is also Vishnu karma. One keeps Vishnu as the focus of one's consciousness. Even then, Vishnu bhakti's assistance is required. Vitam, rahitam, freed from the impurities. When one is completely cleansed of the impurities. Kamadi mala rahityam cha manasaha shama dama adibhihi yama niyama adibhihi cha bhavati. Freedom from lust and so on. Freedom from contaminations such as lust and so on comes about for the mind through shama, dama, control of the mind, control of the senses and so on. These are processes of jnana, as well as yama, niyama and so on, which are processes of yoga. So bhavati iti jnana yoga yoho angani suchitani. This is an indication to these aspects of the jnana system and yoga system. Shuddhehe gyapakattvamaha adukham ityadi syat tisheshaha. Then what is the state of purity? The state of purity is one comes to the point where one is equipoised beyond distress and beyond happiness. Kama and lobha are the symptoms of material existence. Everyone always desires to possess something. It is said here that desire and greed are the products of false identification of oneself with the body. When one becomes free from this contamination, then his mind and consciousness also become free and attain their original state. Mind, consciousness, and the living entity exist. Whenever we speak of the living entity, this includes the mind and consciousness. The difference between conditional life and liberated life occurs when we purify the mind and the consciousness. When they are purified, one becomes transcendental to material happiness and distress. In the beginning, Lord Kapila has said that perfect yoga enables one to transcend the platform of material distress and happiness. How this can be done is explained here. One has to purify his mind and consciousness. This can be done by the Bhakti Yoga system. As explained in the Narada Pancharatra, one's mind and senses should be purified. Tat paratvena nirmalam. One's senses must be engaged in devotional service to the Lord. That is the process. The mind must have some engagement. One cannot make the mind vacant. Of course, there are some foolish attempts to try to make the mind vacant or void, but that is not possible. The only process that will purify the mind is to engage it in Krishna. The mind must be engaged. If we engage our mind in Krishna, naturally the consciousness becomes fully purified and there's no chance of the entrance of material desire and greed. 17.
Here, Prabhupada is mentioned about Bhakti Yoga,
Hmm.
but now it is going on about the Sankhya philosophy. So why Prabhupada is again introducing that Bhakti Yoga?
Because here you requires the assistance of Bhakti. Without the assistance of Bhakti, you cannot execute Jnana or Yoga even. Therefore, you cannot avoid discussion about Krishna Bhakti.
Then there is no meaning of discussing Sankhya Yoga.
Sankhya Yoga is simply a discussion of how you progress from Ashtanga Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. It will come, everything will come. You see it here itself. How one progresses. 17. Tada Purusha Atmanam Kevalam Prakriteh Param Nirantaram Swayam Jyotir Animanam Akhanditam. At that time, the soul can see himself to be transcendental to material existence and always self-effulgent, never fragmented, although very minute in size. Tada Purusha Jivaha Atmanam Swam Prakritehe Avidyataha Param Nirantaram Dehadvaya Vyavadhana Shunyam Teva Swayam Jyotir Anavrata Prakasham. He realizes that he is actually transcendental. Jiva is actually, Jivatma is actually transcendental to Prakriti. Why does he say Nirantaram? 17. Udyata Param Nirantaram. Yes. He understands that he is distinct from Prakriti.
Prabhupada has involved word meaning put Nirantaram non-different.
Vishnu Chakravarti explains this word Nirantaram. Dehadvaya Vyavadhana Shunyam. The Jivatma does not have obstructions due to the two bodies. What does that mean? Ateva Swayam Jyotir, Anavrita Prakasham. He is self-effulgent. His effulgence is actually not covered. Okay. One realizes that he is actually not obstructed by the subtle body and gross body. By himself. Animanam, Sukshmam, tiny. Sukshmanam apyaham jivaha iti bhagavadukte. Because the Supreme Lord, in the 11th canto, as stated, amongst all the tiny objects, I am the jiva. Swarupata eva paramana pramanam ityarthaha. By nature, he is of the size of a paramana. Vijaya vasanabhihi akhanditam. And factually, he is not fragmented, not disturbed by Vishaya Vasana. In the state of pure consciousness or Krishna consciousness, to wait. Nirantaram, Nityam, Nirantaram, Nirvedam. Previous one. Okay. Does not have any parts. Like the Anu is the smallest indivisible particle. The Jivatma is indivisible. You cannot divide it into further parts. So the Jivatma itself does not have a further subtle body, gross body, and so on. Jivatma is Jivatma, that's all. You cannot say that the Jivatma itself has its internal subtle body and so on. The Jivatma is indivisible. It is unlike the Adibhautika Purusha. The Adibhautika Purusha is the embodied soul. That is the point.
And regarding the soul, it says that we are the Amsa of the Lord, part and parcel. But it also mentions that we are not like a material part of the Lord. Then what we are? Part means what?
Part means that we are tiny, we are similar to him. It's like a drop of water from an ocean. It's tiny, but similar to the ocean. So therefore, this expression is used, Amsha. In the state of pure consciousness or Krishna consciousness, one can see himself as a minute particle, non-different from the Supreme Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the jiva or the individual soul is eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Just as the sun's rays are minute particles of the brilliant constitution of the sun, so a living entity is a minute particle of the Supreme Spirit. The individual soul and the Supreme Lord are not separated as in material differentiation. The individual soul is a particle from the very beginning. One should not think that because the individual soul is a particle, it is fragmented from the whole spirit. Mayavada philosophy enunciates that the whole spirit exists, but a part of it, which is called the jiva, is entrapped by illusion. This philosophy, however, is unacceptable because spirit cannot be divided like a fragment of matter. That part, the jiva, is eternally a part. As long as the Supreme Spirit exists, his part and parcel also exists. As long as the sun exists, the molecules of the sun's rays also exist. The jiva particle is estimated in the Vedic literature to be 1/10,000th the size of the upper portion of a hair. It is therefore infinitesimal. The Supreme Spirit is infinite, but the living entity or the individual soul is infinitesimal, although it is not different in quality from the Supreme Spirit. Two words in this verse are to be particularly noted. One is nirantaram, which means non-different or of the same quality. The individual soul is also expressed here as animan. Animan means infinitesimal. The Supreme Spirit is all-pervading, but the very small spirit is the individual soul. Akhanditam means not exactly fragmented. Literally, akhanditam would mean fragmented, but in this context, it does not mean fragmented. But constitutionally, always infinitesimal. No one can separate the molecular parts of the sunshine from the sun, but at the same time, the molecular part of the sunshine is not as expansive, it's not as big as the sun itself. Similarly, the living entity, by his constitutional position, is qualitatively the same as the Supreme Spirit, but he is infinitesimal. Anu 18. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena, Bhakti Yuktena Chatmana, Paripashyat Utasinam Prakritim Cha Hataujasam. In that position of self-realization, by practice of knowledge and renunciation and devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. Jnana Vishesha Yuktena Atmana Manasa Bhakti Yuktena Cha Iti Chakarat Bhaktehi Tatra Sahayameva Tad Vina Jnanasya Sviya Phala Sadhakatva Ashaktehe. Here, the mind has to be, the mind has to be equipped with, why does it say Vishesha? I think this is wrong. What is this verse? Jnana Vairagya. Always creating some trouble. All of us need some proofreading. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena Atmana Manasa. So when the mind is equipped with Jnana and Vairagya and with Bhakti. So from here, from this, Bhakti Yuktena Cha, and when it is equipped with devotional service. This indicates that Bhakti is just accepted here as an assisting factor, because Without bhakti, the process of jnana is not capable of producing its result. Udasinam, where is udasinam? Udasinam, indifferent. He becomes indifferent to material existence. Anasaktam, becomes detached. Prakritim, swa avidyam, hata ojasam. He realizes that material existence is reduced in strength, which means his own avidya is reduced in strength. Hata ojasam, swasmin kinchitapi kartum ashaktam. It means he realizes that his own avidya is no longer capable of doing anything to him. As the contamination of the germs of a particular disease can influence a weaker person, similarly, the influence of material nature or illusory energy can act on the weaker or conditioned soul, but not on the liberated soul. Self-realization is a position of the liberated state. One understands his constitutional position by knowledge and vairagya, renunciation. Without knowledge, one cannot have realization. The realization that one is the infinitesimal part and parcel of the Supreme makes him unattached to material conditional life. That is the beginning of devotion service. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, one cannot engage himself in the devotion service of the Lord. In this verse, it is therefore stated, Jnana Vairagya Yuktena, when one is in full knowledge of one's constitutional position and is in the renowned stock of life, detached from material attraction, then by pure devotional service, Bhakti Yuktena, he can engage himself as a loving servant of the Lord. So the idea is, this is all explained a number of times by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Initially, it is like this: Bhakti Mishra Karma, then later Bhakti Mishra Jnana, then later Bhakti Mishra Yoga, then Yoga Mishra Bhakti, then Kevala Bhakti. That is one pathway. Another pathway is Bhakti Mishra Karma, then Bhakti Mishra Jnana, then Jnana Mishra Bhakti, then Kevala Bhakti. Another pathway, Bhakti Mishra Karma, Karma Mishra Bhakti, then Kevala Bhakti. We are supposed to go by the third route. But if you cannot go by the third route, then go by the second route. If you cannot go by that, go by the first route. But anyway, one has to come to the point where bhakti becomes predominant and then exclusive.
How we can go through Bhakti Mishra Yoga?
So first one, that comes in the first 6 chapters of Gita. No? First one engages Bhakti Mishra Jnana. First of all, Bhakti Mishra Karma. Then afterwards, over time, he starts executing jnana. When jnana becomes predominant, when jnana becomes predominant, it is no longer Bhakti Mishra Karma. It becomes Bhakti Mishra Jnana. Because by that time, from household life, you would have upgraded to Vanaprastha and separated Vanaprastha life, which is equivalent of sannyas also. So you will engage in Bhakti Mishra Jnana. Then you will accept the process of yoga slowly, 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 and that will take over. So from Bhakti Mishra Jnana, you will come to the point of Bhakti Mishra Yoga. Then, as he goes on over lifetimes, in this way, in this way, in this way, in this way, then he'll come to Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Then afterwards, a number of lifetimes he goes on. Then he comes to Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti. This is what happens when you go up all the way up to Brahmaloka. When you're in Brahmaloka, you execute predominant Bhakti, exclusive Bhakti, and Tata, we say, to material existence and get out.
So here, yoga means what yoga? Bhakti yoga only?
Yoga means Ashtanga Yoga.
But that is not possible
What is not possible?
to do Ashtanga yoga.
No, we are not talking of Kali Yoga. No. We are not talking about ISKCON. We are not talking about our people. Our people are, we should just execute. It's very rare. Very few people can do things like that. We cannot even sit and chant 16 rounds in one place, just close the eyes without falling asleep and remembering the Hare Krishna mantra and the meaning of the Hare Krishna mantra and hearing the mantra. We are so disturbed. So this is a general process. This is in the middle of Satya Yuga, he's talking. This is a standard process. Kali Yuga is only 10% of a Chatur Yuga. No? So why? We are completely Kali Yuga centered. For everything we think in terms of Kali Yuga. But in the Vedas, they don't talk like that. They talk in general. Kali Yuga is only 10% of the time. 40% is Satya Yuga. 30% is Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga. 20% is Dwapara Yuga, 10% is Kali Yuga. So this is standard. It's not that it cannot be done at all. There are some who do it. There are still some who do it. It's very rare. Very few people who do these things.
So I get a question over here that if we are supposed to do in Kali Yuga and Kali Yuga things only, then why we read all any other Yuga things?
Because you will have to understand, because no, it's not a waste of time, because you will have to understand that you have to, the Vairagya Vidya that is there, you will have to apply here also. Might be applied in a different manner. The Jnana Vairagya of whatever little bit of Jnana Vairagya is there in the karma system, that is also there to a higher degree in the Jnana system. And the Jnana Vairagya that you see in the Jnana system, to a higher degree is there in the Yoga system. And the Jnana Vairagya that you see in the Yoga system, to a higher degree is there in the Bhakti system. So since we claim to be executing the Bhakti system, we should understand all the things that they are rejecting, we should also reject. So there is a relevance there. We may not be sitting and doing that the process that they are executing, but whatever they are rejecting, we are meant to be rejecting also. And the realization that they are deriving, that we are meant to derive individually also. So there is a relevance to all these things. Paripashyati means that he can see everything in its right perspective. What is paripashyati? Paripashyati, udasina. Paripashyati. Paripashyati means that he can see everything in its right perspective. Then the influence of material nature becomes almost nil. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Brahmabhuta prasannatma. When one is self-realized, he becomes happy and free from the influence of material nature. And at that time, he is freed from lamentation and hankering. The Lord states that position as Mad Bhaktim Lavate Param, the real state of beginning devotional service. Similarly, it is confirmed in the Narada Pancharatra that when the senses are purified, they can then be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. One who is attached to material contamination cannot be a devotee. Why this is 18? Oh, it's correct. Okay, 19. Na yujyamana ya bhaktya bhagavati akhilatmani satrishosti shivah pantha yoginam brahma siddhaye. Perfection in self-realization cannot be attained by any kind of yogi unless he engages in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for that is the only auspicious path. Trayanam madhye kevala bhaktireva shrestha sukhamayi paramamangala cha ityaha na iti. Amongst these three processes, pure jnana, pure yoga, pure bhakti. Pure jnana means Bhakti Mishra jnana. Pure yoga means Bhakti Mishra yoga. But pure bhakti means Kevala bhakti. Bhakti Mishra bhakti is bhakti only, that's all. So, Kevala bhakti, exclusive bhakti alone is the best. It is unrivaled. It is filled with happiness and it is most auspicious. He brings out this in text 19. Yujyamanaya Bhagavati Bhakti eva yujyate samuchita bhavati iti arthaha. So, bhakti that is exclusively engaged in for the pleasure of Bhagavan is most appropriate. This is the meaning. Kachit tvai uchita bhakti iti uttarokte. This will be reinforced in text 28. Yogina upayavatam brahmani parameshware vishayi bhute siddhihi dasya sakhyadi nishpatihi tasyai. It is the pathway that will lead to perfection in self-realization. Amongst the various pathways that are focused on Parameshwara, the Supreme Lord, this is the one that will lead to the perfection of Dasya Prema, Sakhya Prema, and so on. That knowledge and renunciation are never perfect unless joined by devotional service is explicitly explained here. Na yujyamana ya means without being doubted. When there is devotional service, then the question is where to offer that service. Devotional service is to be offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means Lord Narayana, Lord Vishnu, not to some demigod. Who is the super soul of everything? For that is the only reliable path of self-realization or Brahman realization. The word Brahmasiddhaya means to understand oneself to be different from matter, to understand oneself to be Brahman. The Vedic words are Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. Brahmasiddhi means that one should know that he is not matter. He is pure soul. There are different kinds of yogis, but every yogi is supposed to engage in self-realization or Brahman realization. So there are different kinds of yogis means you have Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. Even in Karma Yoga, yoga is just preparatory. No? So everywhere one is supposed to be engaged in self-realization or Brahman realization. It is clearly stated here that unless one is fully engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot have easy approach to the path of Brahma Siddhi. In the beginning of the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that when one engages himself in the devotional service of Vasudeva, spiritual knowledge and renunciation of the material world automatically become manifest. Thus, a devotee does not have to try separately for renunciation or knowledge. Devotional service itself is so powerful that by one's service attitude, everything is revealed. It is stated here, Shivaha Panthaha. This is the only auspicious path for self-realization. The path of devotion service is the most confidential means for attaining Brahman realization. That perfection in Brahman realization is attained through the auspicious path of devotion service, indicates that the so-called Brahman realization or realization of the Brahma Jyoti effulgence is not Brahma Siddhi. Beyond that Brahma Jyoti, there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Upanishads, the devotee prays to the Lord to kindly put aside the effulgence, Brahma Jyoti, so that the devotee may see within the Brahma Jyoti the actual eternal form of the Lord. Unless one attains realization of the transcendental form of the Lord, there is no question of bhakti. Bhakti necessitates the existence of the recipient of devotional service and the devotee who renders devotional service. Brahma Siddhi through devotional service is realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The understanding of the effulgent rays of the body of the Supreme Godhead is not the perfect stage of Brahma Siddhi or Brahman realization, nor is the realization of the Paramatma feature of the Supreme Person perfect. For Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Akhilatma. What's this come here? Akhilatmani, Bhagavati. He is the Super Soul. One who realizes Supreme Personality realizes the other features, namely the Paramatma feature and the Brahman feature, and that total realization is Brahma Siddhi. So when one realizes Brahman and Paramatma and Bhagavan, that is the perfection in Bhakti Yoga. One should not think that in Bhakti Yoga one does not realize Paramatma, Brahman and so on.
So how it starts when that Brahman realization comes?
It comes same time.
And at the same time,
Same
three
time.
features will be.
Yeah, same time. Three features will be. Unless one is particularly desirous of first Brahman realization, then Paramatma realization, then Bhagavan realization.
And it is said that by doing devotional service, everything will be revealed.
Properly, yes.
What is that everything will be revealed?
Everything that is in relation to that living entity will be revealed. He will realize that he is not this body, he is reincarnating. Everything that is relevant for him.
And when it starts happening, when
Yes, when it starts happening.
when
It's a question. When? Question mark. Okay. When does it start happening? That comes when one comes to Bhava Bhakti, then realization begins. The living entity's original senses are activated, reactivated from that point. Before that also there's realization, but it's all indirect. Direct realization begins from Bhava Bhakti. Okay, question.
So you said that Gyan, Bhakti Mishra Jnana and Bhakti Mishra Karma, they will be referred to pure Jnana and pure Karma. Similarly, for Bhakti also, like Gyan Mishra Bhakti and Karma Mishra Bhakti, they can be called as pure Bhakti, along with
No, because Bhakti is the Swatantra Sadhana. Because Bhakti is the independent sadhana. And the other sadhanas, yoga, jnana, karma, they are paratantra sadhanas. Therefore, pure bhakti can only be defined as Kevala bhakti. Kevala, Kevala
But in the
bhakti is okay, but Kevala jnana, Bhagavata makes it very clear, will lead you nowhere, lead you to nowhere. Similarly, Kevala jnana will lead you to nowhere. Kevala karma, obviously, you don't even go to heavenly place. You go nowhere, actually.
But Prabhu, in the definition of
What?
bhakti,
Right.
as you
Increase the volume.
read that Gyan Karma Dhyanavitam,
Jnana karma dhyanavritam. Yes. So,
Gyan and Karma, they could be there in bhakti also.
what? Your voice is breaking.
Means that the Gyan Karma,
So when Gyan and Karma are minimal, then it could be called pure devotional service, no?
No. Karma Mishra Bhakti is not. See, Karma Mishra Bhakti is called impure Bhakti because karma is covering Bhakti. Jnana Mishra Bhakti is not pure Bhakti because Jnana is covering Bhakti. Yoga Mishra Bhakti is not pure Bhakti because Yoga is covering Bhakti. When it is not covered, then that can be accepted as pure Bhakti. But Kevala pure Bhakti is even more powerful than such versions of pure Bhakti. It is possible. It is possible to have karma anavrita bhakti, which resembles karma mishra bhakti. It might resemble karma mishra bhakti, like the activity of a parinishtita that resembles karma mishra bhakti, but it is not karma mishra bhakti. It is pure bhakti.
It is actually Bhakti Mishra Karma, isn't it? Bhakti, it is Bhakti, but it is
Karma mishra bhakti means bhakti is predominant.
yeah, Karma Mishra.
So it is pradhanibhuta bhakti.
Yes. Right.
So at least with the pathway of the parinishtitas, there we notice that because that karma which is mixed in is only that which is compatible with pure bhakti. It is compatible with bhakti. Whereas in karma mishra bhakti, there may be some element which is not compatible, not necessarily unfavorable, but it might be indifferent. See, there are three. There is anukula, pratikula, and there is udasina. It might be neutral. Anyway, in Bhagavatam, it's a detailed study of various shades of Bhagavad Bhakti. We will come across all these things. We will understand.
Yes, sir. Means we can say that Pradhanibhut Bhakti, it may be pure devotional service or may not be pure devotional service, according to case.
Yeah, even Kevala Bhakti may be pure or impure, depending on the motive with which one executes it. If one executes Kevala Bhakti, because one can be Akama or Sarvakama or Moksha Kama. So one might be Moksha Kama executing Kevala Bhakti. So that we will not, followers of Bhagavata will not accept that as pure. It is externally pure, but internally it's not pure.
Yes, yes.
In the Sandarbhas also, Jiva Goswami analyzes various possible combinations. At some point we should go through it. It will be very interesting. It's just, it spins your head a little bit. But after we go through Bhagavatam, if we go through Sandarbhas, we'll be able to understand something. Actually, before Vishwanath Chakravarti, Gaudiya Vaishnava means he studies Bhagavatam. That's all. One book is Bhagavatam. It is Vishwanath Chakravarti who wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Then Baladev Vidyabhushan wrote another commentary on Gita following Vedanta Sutra. Then Bhaktivinoda wrote two commentaries. He published a third commentary. Then Prabhupada presented Bhagavad Gita as it is. So at least we get a scripture which will prepare us to deal with Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is a good introduction to Bhagavatam. Okay, 20. Prasangamajaram pasham atmanas kaviyo viduhu saiva sadhushu krito mokshadvaram apavritam. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul, but that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation. The attachment means emotional attachment, love, affection, respect. So when you have all this, all these things unnecessarily towards those who are not engaged in pure devotional service to Krishna, all of them become problematic. तस्या भक्तेः साधुसंग एव मूलम् इति स युक्तिकमाह प्रसंगमिति. And the root cause for the development of that bhakti is sadhusanga, submissive association with saintly authorities. And he explains this with a reason. Prasangam iti. Mokshasya salokya adehe dwaram apavritam niravaranam. Aikantika bhaktanam api mokshaha bhaktehe ananusamhitam phalam bhavati iti tatha uktam. Why does he say ananusamhitam phalam? Where is that? What is this verse? 20. Why does he say ananusamhitam phalam? Okay. Ananusamhita means anushangi. Fine. So the gateway to moksha. Here moksha refers to personal liberation, not impersonal liberation. Salokya, Sashti, Samipya, Sarupya. That is wide open. Even for those who are one-pointed devotees, liberation is a necessary side benefit. Therefore, this is mentioned here. Here it is clearly stated that attachment for one thing is the cause of bondage in conditioned life. The same attachment, when applied to something else, opens the door of liberation. Attachment cannot be killed. It has simply to be transferred. Attachment for material things is called material consciousness, and attachment for Krishna or his devotee is called Krishna consciousness. Consciousness is therefore the platform of attachment. It is clearly stated here that when we simply purify the consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness, we attain liberation. Despite the statement that one should give up attachment, desirelessness is not possible for a living entity. A living entity by constitution has the propensity to be attached to something. We see that if someone has no object of attachment, if he has no children, then he transfers his attachment to cats and dogs. I knew someone who did not have children. Their attachment was to some big building. This is a property.
But have children, they have attachment with the cats and dogs and also.
So they have attachment to children and cats and dogs and the building also.
Oh, here.
The other day I saw someone walking with a parrot. Walking with a parrot. A lady.
Oh, regarding this dog, we were reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there it finds that Sivananda Sen is also having attachment for the dog.
He did not have attachment for a dog. He had compassion for a dog that was following. He did not have a pet dog.
But it is said that the god is a condemned animal. We should not allow.
Dog is a condemned animal. It's okay. It means you should not start loving the dog and start developing Sakhya rasa with it. That's what it means.
But in that situation, we see he takes the dog by paying
The
money and
dog was following. The dog was following. Do you come across any parikrama? Do you come across during Navadik Mandal parikramas of dog going wherever parikrama goes?
Dogs go.
Okay, so they are ex-devotees, so they need to be ex-human devotees, so they need to be taken care of.
Yeah, we'll give them some.
But normally you don't find. No?
Yeah, but we cannot bring to the brahmachari ashram.
We cannot create a separate dog ashram for them and feed them. That's all. That's all.
Dogs follow, they go on the boat house. No, one day.
Mahaprabhu's dham is so punishment means this is the punishment. One lifetime you have to become a sub-human.
So in Bengal especially we see there are so many people who feels dog. And
Why
they say that
Bengal? What is Bengal?
Yes,
All
yes,
India.
yes.
Whole India.
Whole world.
Whole India is filled with. We were there in Rameshwaram. Almost every house had
Every house has.
almost every house has a dog. You'll find handsome young boys, beautiful young girls, so much loving dogs. So much love for dog. Elderly woman, grandmother loves the dog. Grandfather takes care of the dog. Dog is essential member of the family. Doggy is part of the family. A family is incomplete without a dog. Man's best friend in today's world. This is all unnecessary. That doesn't mean you start becoming a terrorist and start shooting all dogs. Why can't you just be normal people? You take care of a dog when, you don't kill them, don't beat them unnecessarily, but just don't live with them. That's all. Then you have some people who will want to take care of rabbits, and some will want to take care of squirrels,
And there are people who want to take care of snakes.
snakes.
So when we visit to go for preaching their homes, so how should we deal in such situation?
How you deal with such situation? You pray to Lord Krishna. Krishna will tell you how to deal with each particular situation. Don't worry. This indicates that the propensity for attachment cannot be stopped. It must be utilized for the best purpose. Our attachment for material things perpetuates our conditional state. But the same attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Personality of God or His devotee, is a source of liberation. Here it is recommended that attachment should be transferred to the self-realized devotees, the sadhus. And who is a sadhu? A sadhu is not just an ordinary man with a saffron robe or long beard. A sadhu is described in Bhagavad Gita as one who unflinchingly engages in devotional service. Even though one is found not to be following the strict rules and regulations of devotional service, if one simply has unflinching faith in Krishna, the Supreme Person, is understood to be a sadhu. It means that even if unintentionally he is not able to follow the rules and regulations of devotional service strictly, but he has a desire to follow that, then he should be accepted as a sadhu. Sadhu reva samantavya. Samyak vyavasito hi saha. Because his determination is proper. Therefore, Chipram bhavati dharmatma. Therefore, he instantly becomes dharmic. So whatever materialistic activities that he does, immediately he repents and he no longer does it for the rest of his life. Not that we say 7.5 years back, he did that wrong. That is gone. It's deleted. A sadhu is a strict follower of devotion service. See, it is recommended here that if one at all wants to realize Brahman or spiritual perfection, his attachment should be transferred to the sadhu or devotee. Lord Chaitanya also confirmed this. Lavamatra sadhu sange savasiddhihar. Simply by a moment's association with a sadhu, one can attain perfection. Mahatma is a synonym of sadhu. It is said that service to a Mahatma or elevated devotee of the Lord is Dwaramahur Vimukte, the royal road of liberation. Mahatsevam. Dwaramahur Vimukte is Tamodwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. 5.5.2. Rendering service to the materialist has the opposite effect. Materialist means is attached to those who are attached to women, etc. If anyone offers service to a gross materialist or a person engaged only in sense enjoyment, then by association with such a person, the door to hell is open. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has specified what is the meaning of Sangha. He says Sangha means Dadati Pratigrishnati Mukhyamakyati Prichyati Bhunte Bhojete Chaiva Shadvidam Priti Lakshanam. This is what we refer to as Sangha. In this, three activities are done by inferiors, and 3 activities are reciprocations by superiors. Dadati, that is by inferior. Pratigrihnati, by superior. Guhyam is by superior. Pritchati is by inferior. Bhukte is by superior. Bhojayate, that is by inferior. So it goes inferior, superior, superior. The first items of each of the 3 pairs. So this is a common, normally it is done in human society also. It is very generally known. So this, if we apply it, then it becomes a problem. This we should be careful about. The same principle is confirmed here. Attachment to a devotee is attachment to the service of the Lord, because if one associates with a sadhu, the result will be that the sadhu will teach him how to become a devotee, a worshipper, and a sincere servitor of the Lord. These are the gifts of a sadhu. If we want to associate with a sadhu, we cannot expect him to give us instructions on how to improve our material condition, but he will give us instructions on how to cut the knot of that contamination of material attraction and how to elevate ourselves in devotional service. That is the result of associating with a sadhu. Kapila Muni, first of all, instructs that the path of liberation begins with such association. It's the genuine sadhus. These are not sadhus who try to speak nice things so that you get also some good financial reciprocation so that you can exist. Not like that. 21, 21, 22, 23, 24 is the description of these sadhus. Titikshava, Karunika, Sukruta, Sarvadehina, Ajata Shatrava, Shanta Sadhava, Sadhu Bhushana. The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. So this is a typical sadhu, genuine Bhagavata sadhu. The sadhu, as described above, is a devotee of the Lord. His concern, therefore, is to enlighten people in devotional service to the Lord. That is his mercy. He knows that without devotional service to the Lord, human life is spoiled. And what about this? Oh, so much of explanation. 20, okay. When you come to 24, at the time I'll read all of this and read 24 purport. A devotee travels all over the country, from door to door preaching. Be Krishna conscious. Be a devotee of Lord Krishna. Don't spoil your life in simply fulfilling your animal propensities. Human life is meant for self-realization or Krishna consciousness. These are the teachings of a sadhu. He is not satisfied with his own liberation. Karunika. Tikshava, Karunika. He always thinks about others. He is the most compassionate personality towards all the fallen souls. Therefore, one of his qualifications is Karunika, great mercy to the fallen souls. While engaged in preaching work, he has to meet with so many opposing elements. And therefore, the sadhu or devotee of the Lord has to be very tolerant. The very activity of Paropakar is a painful activity. Question.
Prabhuji, this injunction for a sannyasi or traveling, that he should be traveling, not stay at one place for more than 3 days. I was just one portion in Lilamrit. It describes Prabhupada's initial days struggle when he is lecturing at different avenues wherever he get an opportunity, and he is moving. And then Srila Prabhupada thinks at one point that this is not yielding the result. Instead of, like they say, instead of digging well in so many places, just focus on one place. Prabhupada wanted a fixed, committed audience. So how this will be done if sannyasi is always moving?
This is the work of an acharya. The general sannyasi who is not such an acharya, he will have to simply just travel and preach. The samstapak acharya, the one who creates a framework and so on, they take up additional responsibilities. We do not have to imitate such personalities. We have to just do what we are meant to do.
But when we are, like, I don't know how far this is correct. I'm just wanted to clarify that when we are given a service and a center is allotted, we are sent there. Oh, you be there, just stay there, take care of things, and whoever is coming, try to do something
That's
for
okay,
them.
but we are not the sannyasi. So why we have to become bothered about all this?
Mm-hmm. Okay, bro.
So regarding this Karnika, this compassion generally when comes, then only we can preach to someone. So, but that naturally does not come.
Hmm.
But artificially we try to create and try to teach.
No, we are not doing all these things. We are carrying out the instructions of those who are Karanikas. They are telling us go and do this. We are idiots. We don't have anything. Nothing of this list we have. We are simply obedient to those who are having all this. They are telling us, go, do good to others. Therefore, as order carriers, we are doing it. We are peons. That's all. Kajer lok. We are simply people who are employed. That's all. So we should not imagine that we are all these great souls and all this. Then, if we are proper in Krishna consciousness, we will also keep developing, and at some point, Kleshagni, Shubhada will come. All the good qualities will come. Then it will become natural. While engaged in preaching work, he has to meet with so many opposing elements, and therefore the sadhu or devotee of the Lord has to be very tolerant. Someone may ill-treat him because the conditioned souls are not prepared to receive the transcendental knowledge of devotional service. They do not like it. That is their disease. The sadhu has the thankless task of impressing upon them the importance of devotional service. Sometimes devotees are personally attacked with violence. Lord Jesus Christ was crucified. Haridas Thakur was caned in 22 marketplaces. And Lord Chaitanya's principal assistant Nityananda was violently attacked by Jaga and Madha. You can go on adding to this list. Prahlad Maharaj was tortured by his own. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, 5-year-old tender boy, and the father wants to kill him. Not once. So many different ways he is trying to kill him. And still he is preaching. How much difficult? From the beginning. Preaching means it's difficulty. You should not think that it's a jolly life.
So on the order carrier as a peon, we see this thing, then we get fearful to go also even.
Okay, so don't go. Don't go, and you will not get the special mercy that goes for those who are servants of the preachers.
Okay, if we go also, if we get this kind of situation, then what we can do?
So what you can do, go back and ask. The pure devotees will tell you, go, die, preach. You go and preach. You'll be benefited, that's all. But still they are tolerant because their mission was to deliver the fallen souls. One of the qualifications of a sadhu is that he is very tolerant and is merciful to all fallen souls. He is merciful because he is a well-wisher of all living entities. He is not only a well-wisher of human society, but a well-wisher of animal society as well. It is said here, Sarvadahinam, which indicates all living entities who have accepted material bodies. Not only does a human being have a material body, but other living entities such as cats and dogs also have material bodies. The devotee of the Lord is merciful to everyone, the cats, dogs, trees, etc. He treats all living entities in such a way that they can ultimately get salvation from this material entanglement. Shivananda Sen, one of the disciples of Lord Chaitanya, gave liberation to a dog by treating the dog transcendentally. There are many instances where a dog got salvation by association with a sadhu, because a sadhu engages in the highest philanthropic activities for the benediction of all living beings. See, the reason, first of all, paropakar is what distinguishes punya from papa. Why Lord Vishnu likes those who engage in punya more than those who engage in papa? Because of paropakara. Paropakara punyaya, papaya parapidana. Okay. So similarly, the distinction between the Oshtyanandi devotees, those who want to increase the community of those engaged in Uttama Bhakti, and the Vivitanandis is actually very, very great. There's a very great difference between these two. Krishna tolerates. Krishna accepts. He accepts the Vivitanandi. No doubt about it. He accepts them. He takes care of them. Whole life Krishna will take care of them. But those who are engaged in the actual activity of spreading pure devotional service to Krishna, Krishna actually likes them very much. It's on the same degree. Of course, it is not that the Vivitanandi is giving pain to others. But giving pain to others is one thing, or doing bad to others is one thing, doing good to others is the other extreme. He is somewhere in between. So Krishna accepts it. It's not that Krishna doesn't accept it, because he's engaged in devotional service, he accepts it. But the one who's accepting that I will satisfy the Goshtyanandi Acharyas, they're certainly favored by Krishna. They're certainly favored by Krishna, no doubt about it. It is a very, very painful activity externally. But as one progresses in Krishna consciousness, then he becomes indifferent to external happiness, external unhappiness. And he attains internal realization, internal problems. That happens over the days, weeks, months, years, decades. It happens if we go through it properly. If we avoid offenses, if we do everything properly. It is a very great facility. You see, during Narottam Das Thakur's time, how much they preached. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also acknowledged that the last time in the Gaudiya Vaishnava community, this kind of gigantic mega preaching took place was at the time of Narottam Das Thakur, Narottam Shyamananda Srinivas. Really, Jiva Goswami sent them out for big scale preaching. Similarly, Prabhupada also engaged in big scale preaching. You should remember that. Yet, although a sadhu is not inimical towards anyone, the world is so ungrateful that even a sadhu has many enemies. What is the difference between an enemy and a friend? It is a difference in behavior. A sadhu behaves with all conditioned souls for their ultimate relief from material entanglement. Therefore, no one can be more friendly than a sadhu. In relieving a conditioned soul, a sadhu is calm and he quietly and peacefully follows the principles of scripture. A sadhu means one who follows the principles of scripture and at the same time is a devotee of the Lord. The sadhu necessarily follows the principles of Shastra. You cannot not follow Shastra. Guru, sadhu, Shastra. One who follows Shastra is a sadhu. One who follows Shastra and the sadhus is a guru. A sadhu means one who follows the principles of scripture and at the same time is a devotee of the Lord. That means he is not only following the principles of scripture, he understands the conclusion of the scriptures correctly. One who actually follows the principles of scripture must be a devotee of God because all the scriptures instruct us to obey the orders of the personality of God. And therefore, sadhu means a follower of the scriptural injunctions and a devotee of the Lord. All these characteristics are prominent in a devotee. A devotee develops all the good qualities of the demigods, whereas a non-devotee, even though academically qualified, has no actual good qualifications or good characteristics according to the standard of transcendental realization. This is something to note in the Vedic scriptures, especially in the higher scriptures, the Vedantic scriptures. External symptoms that invariably occur, appear to one who is internally transcendently realized are enlisted in so many places. In Bhagavad Gita itself it comes. 3 times it comes. In Bhagavatam it comes a number of times. So these qualities are enlisted repeatedly for this reason. 22. Mai ananya bhavena, mai ananyena bhavena, bhakti kurvanti ye dridham, mat krite tyakta karmanas, tyakta svajana bandhava. Such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within the world. A person in the renounced order of life, a sannyasi, is also called a sadhu because he renounces everything. His home, his comfort, his friends, his relatives, and his duties to friends and family. He renounces everything for the sake of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A sannyasi is generally in the renounced order of life, but his renunciation will be successful only when his energy is employed in the service of the Lord with great austerity. His renunciation will be successful only when his energy is employed in the service of the Lord with great austerity. It is said here, therefore, Bhaktim kurvanti yed dridham. So these sadhus, they execute devotion service very firmly. Very firmly means with firm austerities. A person who seriously engages in the service of the Lord and is in the renounced order of life is a sadhu. In North Europe and in Russia and the former Soviet places, many times they used to take bath in ice cold water and go out for book distributions. It's not that they're used to ice cold water. They're not used to it also. And then for the sake of preaching, they would take up all these austerities. Very, very exalted devotees.
In the book Salted Craig, it comes that above the tab, it was written, "You are not this body, but soul. So you are this and take path."
But bro, this kind of thing is not a artificial thing, like without realization thinking.
They must be having some realization. Otherwise, why would they want to share Krishna consciousness so with such strong determination? They also had their own morning program. They would chant nicely. They would read all these things also. They have a proper balance of achar prachar, vichar achar prachar. And that too in today's ISKCON. Many devotees, they have a proper balance between vichar, achar, prachar.
They had very much fun faith in Krishna. You can, by reading those books, you can understand how much they
have faith.
Yeah.
That book on book distribution, that also you can see from that how much these book distributors, how strongly fixed they were.
Even in any condition.
Prabhuji's, Mataji's also.
Yeah.
Young people, old people, periodically arrested, put in jail. And Prabhupada would tell devotees, at least they have not crucified you. Prabhupada, we made it very clear that preaching means it is a difficult activity. It's not a jolly, relaxed activity. It is a life threat. Nothing less than a life threat. The sadhu is one who has given up all responsibility to society, family, and worldly humanitarianism simply for the service of the Lord. As soon as he takes his birth in the world, a person has so many responsibilities and obligations to the public, to the demigods, to the great sages, to the general living beings, to his parents, to the family, forefathers, and to many others. When he gives up all such obligations for the sake of the service of the Supreme Lord, he is not punished for such renunciation of obligation. But if for sense gratification a person renounces all such obligations, he is punished by the law of nature. One thing, Prabhupada, it appears that Prabhupada never punished his followers. But the way Prabhupada explains it, he says they are already punished by the laws of nature. So why we need to punish them further? For instance, somebody is asking him the question, you are saying that contraception is a sinful activity. Okay. Or to engage in sexual activity between householders or more than what is necessary is actually wrong. So do you punish these people? Then he said, why I need to punish? The laws of nature are already punishing them. Because you will have to undergo your karmic reactions and go through it. Shoka, moha, bhaya, all this you will go through. That itself is a punishment. You want to escape this, then you come here. So, if for sense gratification a person renounces all such obligations, he is punished by the laws of nature. So, there is a very distinct difference. What happened?
When gate is closed, the net goes down, the signal goes down.
See, this is an important point. For sense gratification, if a person renounces all such obligations, he is punished by the laws of nature. Suppose you give up your family responsibilities in order to engage in nirapeksha sadhana, then you are not punished. You are in the safe zone. Then the moment you say, no, but I'm a human being, it's Kali Yuga, I need my space, I need my privacy, I need scripturally permitted sense enjoyment in the form of family life, I want to enter into family life. Then you have to consider all these things taught in the scriptures, all the hundreds of rules that your mommy, daddy might have told you, your grandfather would have said. All of these things you have to go back to and follow all of them. Then you have to take care of your grandfather, grandmother, everyone. But in the name of Krishna consciousness, you say, no, but this is all Maya. And I have my wife, she alone is a devotee. And I'm engaged in sadhu sangha by marrying her. All this crap, it will not work. Then you will be punished by the laws of nature. If one is going to execute that kind of life, that's a method for it. That's a method for that madness. Properly. Otherwise, you want to be in safe zone, don't enter into any of these things. Just Kevala Bhakti. Only thing, internally it should be calm. At least moksha. Personalistic moksha. Tolerable. Yes?
Prabhu, anyway, means one will be punished by Shoka Moha Bhaya or whatever bad things one does. Then what is the need of punishment? People may ask like that.
Correct. That is Prabhupada's logic. What is the need for punishment? Why we have to punish these people who are trying to escape the punishment? First of all, they took to Krishna consciousness to escape all these punishments. So if they themselves are okay, I'll give this example. See, there are some parts of the world where due to climate change, certain ultraviolet rays are passing through the atmosphere and they're coming to certain places on the earth. Even the cows are affected, some animals are affected, humans automatically are affected also. So let's say there is a place like that which is very severely affected. Then what will people do? They will keep inside. They will be in shelter. They will be inside homes and they will be properly sheltered. And if any of the children want to secretly, without anyone's knowledge, want to just go out just for the fun of it. So they go out just for the fun of it, then they'll get affected, that's all. So when they're affected, then the doctor will say, then the kid just ran away. That's what it means. The same way, if the patients secretively don't take the medicines, then they will not be cured. That's all. That's all. They will not be cured. Their non-cure is the punishment.
So the question
So then what is the need of law and order?
What is the need of law and order for everyone? Or for only these people? Which people? There are different levels of the population that accepts Vedic authority. At the lowest level is the one on the platform of karma bhumika. The one on the platform of Bhakti Mishra karma. Then there is one level higher. When there is desire for liberation, then he might come to the platform of Bhakti Mishra Jnana. When the desire for realizing the soul and the super soul comes about, then he might come to the platform of Bhakti Mishra Yoga. Then correspondingly, there are also platforms of Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, then Kevala Bhakti. So all these levels are there. Which one actually requires proper law and order? The one at the lowest level requires that. The very fact that in our movement that we are talking about law and order indicates that a large population of our own organization is on the platform of Bhakti Mishra Karma, which explains why Prabhupada wanted Varnashrama Dharma system to be implemented. With a jail in Mayapur. Prabhupada wanted a jail in Mayapur. Have you heard of any Acharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, anyone who wanted a jail? Madhvacharya wanted, did he ever say, I want a jail in Udupi? Or Ramanujacharya, a jail in Srirangam? But Prabhupada wanted a jail in Mayapur. He clearly understood what we people are. Anyway, arrangements for punishment are for those who don't have a spontaneous attraction towards bhakti pareshan bhavo viraktiranyatra. That is required actually. For their own welfare, it is required. As we progress steadily, as we steadily progress without regress, then these things become more and more clear. These things become achievable also. Step by step. 23. Madashraya kathamrishta shrinvanti kathayanti cha tapanti vidhastapa aitan madgata chetasaha. Engage constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. Okay, we'll stop with that. It's 9 o'clock. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kapasindubhye vachapatitanam pavanebhyo namo namaha.